Hi there! Welcome back to your crash course in sound and hearing. Up to this point in the series, we've steered clear of how we localize sound and how we hear in noise. These two incredible abilities are very useful for anyone listening in complex environments, like a crowded coffee shop or a musical performance. This video is geared toward choral directors, as a way of thinking about these abilities and problems with them. But any music lover, singer, or person with hearing loss will find useful information here. In order for a director to make sure that the chorus does the right things in a concert, problems must be picked out and fixed in rehearsal. In general, those problems involve one or many people sticking out of the group. They might stick out because of a difference in pitch, level, vowel, timbre, or timing. It's the director's job to hear those changes, figure out who's making them, and find a solution that will actually work for that person. Some directors are better at this than others, and that probably has something to do with natural ability and practice, but it could also have something to do with hearing loss. In our previous videos, we've shown what the two auditory codes, one for spectrum and one for the waveform of sound, allow us to hear in a simple listening situation, like one person singing. But what about in noise? What about when the whole chorus is singing? The director's ears have a tough job. So let's talk about how they do it. Sounds in noise are separated out and grouped together using both auditory codes. The kinds of things that allow us to hear one person in a singing group are pretty intuitive. Differences in pitch, vowel, timbre, intensity, vibrato, or any rapid changes in intensity, timing, and location all make a person stick out. Presumably, we developed these abilities so that we could hear out one person's speech in the presence of a lot of noise. It helps us to survive. To hear more about this topic, see our video on speech and noise. Now, getting back to music. These cues help us hear out a solo or the melody or harmony line in a group. But to get an ensemble like this one to sound good, we have to trick the system into thinking it's hearing one big voice, or in this case, 4 big voices. So changes in level, vowel, timbre, and timing that would normally separate sounds in speech should all happen together so that we don't separate them. The director is in charge of making this happen, right? Well, what if our director has outer hair cell loss? What will he be able to hear and fix, and what won't he? So let's look back at the basilar membrane and see what this 4-part harmony looks like. Assuming all these guys are singing the right notes, instead of having one series of harmonics, now we have 4. Without those outer hair cells, the basilar membrane won't have peaks at all these individual frequencies, and lots of frequencies may be picked up at one place. This will make hearing individual voices based on vowel and timbre almost impossible. The aspects of pitch that allow the director to pick out one voice singing the wrong note should still be intact. That person's periodicity, how often the waveform repeats, won't match the others in the section, so he should be heard out. Timing cues like starting and ending together,
Start, stop,
voice onset time, and even intensity changes over time like vibrato, rhythm, and tempo will all be coded temporally, so they should be heard out too. Changes in dynamics may be more difficult to make out in the group. Remember, the dynamic range our director can hear is still a bit squashed. The range between loud enough to hear and too loud is still too small. In this style of music, usually the parts are singing the same words at the same time. But not always. What about a section like this? this will probably sound like a wash of information, and it'll be hard to tell what words are being said by anyone or any section. Well, most of the time, our director can hear most cues, but he may have trouble with vowels and timbre. Okay, but all of these cues don't mean anything if he can't locate the source of the problem, right? Well, this is done in our auditory system too, with changes in the sound that we don't even perceive. We just hear them as changes in the location of sound. I'll draw the abilities that each code is responsible for so that we can visualize it a little easier. Here are the ways we localize sound left to right. The difference in time it takes a sound to get to one ear and then the other, and the difference in level at one ear versus the other. Now we localize vertically by hearing changes in the spectrum brought about by the ridges of the outer ear. We localize near to far using sound level and reflected sounds. Now, we can see that our director with outer hair cell loss should still be able to localize a mistake to the left or right, and to some extent near or far, but up and down will be harder for him. The simple fact that each person is in a different location will help him pick out one voice. That's pretty cool. Now, once he's heard the problem and localized the source, then it has to be fixed. Luckily, anything this director can hear, timing mistakes, big dynamic changes, pitch problems, the singer with the same hearing loss can also hear. A good singer should be able to fix these problems with a little help and practice. But what if a different coach came in and worked on vowels and timbre with the group? Then what could the director do to implement and enforce the changes that he can't hear? Well, luckily most of us have eyes and brains to add to this complex equation. If a singer or a director can't hear a vowel or timbre change, it might be helpful to see it. Using mirrors and visual modeling, it's possible to work around these auditory cues. Oftentimes, if something sounds one way but looks another, our brains will actually change what we heard to better match what we saw. You may know this phenomenon as the McGurk effect. This can work in a director's favor. If one of your singers is giving you visual cues for the wrong vowel, you may still be able to pick that person out and use the ears of a section leader or another singer to help you fix the problem. So, even as we age, even as we lose our hearing, musicians everywhere keep making music. It enriches our lives, and we wouldn't know how to live without it. This presentation has only scratched the surface of what our auditory system can do. Senia, Grace, and I hope it helped you understand why you hear what you hear. With greater understanding comes a host of new questions, so feel free to comment. We'd love to help you take your knowledge even further. We think this is an amazing system, and we hope you do too. So protect the hearing that you have, and keep making music, keep playing, keep singing.